Happy to see so many people in person again. This is great. So thank you for being here. Couple quick thank yous. Exponential Impact, Natasha, Rachel, all the staff here, Prakar, for all your support. We really appreciate it. We couldn't do this without XI. They are the host of the program. They're our sponsor. They basically give us the space and let us make this happen. So big hand of applause for Natasha and XI, please. Thank you. And then we have a number of community members who are volunteering their time. If you want to help out, we are a volunteer organization. Please get on our Slack. There's odd links at the end of this, how you can participate. We're always looking for more people to help. So real quick, what are we? Spring Startup. We're a group that is focused on the startup community in Colorado Springs. And we're really focusing on three things. Events like this, Startup Weekend and Startup Week, which we're planning to do next year. Helping the community make connections and networking like you've just been doing for the last 30 minutes. So that's what we're all about, helping people who are interested in startups, meet other people, and grow the community. So how to get involved, exponentialimpact.com/springstartup. Go there, get on our Slack workspace. You can volunteer to help us run events. You can also sign up to pitch. So if you're interested in getting up here at one point, please jump on, sign up, and we'd love to have you. Okay. So now we have the community asks portion. So this is, are there any companies here looking for hire people? Are there any people here looking for jobs? Any other community notifications? This is kind of like 5 minutes before we start the pitches. So yes, Chris in the back.
You want us to come up there? Can I say it from here?
You can say it from there.
We're looking for sysadmin and IT kind of people, also blockchain knowledgeable engineers and software developers, mostly in Python. So if you know people or that's you, come to me.
All right, so I'm going to repeat that. System engineers, software developers, Python, blockchain. If you're interested, if you're on the Zoom, send us a note in the chat and we can connect you with Chris. Yes?
Hi, I'm Dave. I'm looking for cybersecurity experts. Or even
Dave looking for cybersecurity expert. Yes.
My name is John, and I am looking for somebody who wants to work with their hands, doing welding, assembly, packaging, something like that in a very...
Okay. John's looking for someone who wants to work with their hands in packaging.
Yeah. Could be a young person, maybe just out of high school.
Okay. Yes.
Looking for a head of growth for a company that we're consulting for. They just raised Series A, and they want someone to jump aboard the rocket ship with them.
Looking for a head of growth for a company that just raised a Series A. Anyone else? Going once, going twice. Okay. So virtual, well, it's not a virtual pitch format, I didn't put it aside, but pitch format, 10 minutes per pitch. We will cut you off at 10 minutes, and I'll give you a 2-minute and a 1-minute warning, just go like that. And then we'll have 10 minutes of feedback and Q&A. We've got 3 companies tonight, Econauts, Patent Books, and Drone Sports. And they're not going to go in this order because we changed it up a little bit. But we're going to kick it off with Drone Sports. So,
all right, hello everybody. Thank you, Lee, for having me today. Major Kyle Sanders. I'm a co-founder and VP of Education and Development for Drone Sports LLC. We are an EdTech robotics company that is geographically diverse. We have a few national partners, but we're very proud to be launching our first test programs and leagues right here in Colorado. So our mission is to gamify aerospace education and inspire students towards future career paths. We do this through our flagship product, which is US Drone Soccer. Because we know from experience that if you can hook a student with the excitement and thrill of flight and team competition, they don't even realize they're learning anymore. And that's our goal. So drone soccer is a new educational sport that first came out of South Korea about 2 years ago. Our adaptation of this is that students first have to build, program, fly and repair these drones in preparation for competition. These are high performance quadcopter drones like you've seen on the Drone Racing League on the ESPN, but they've been custom designed for classroom learning. So we built the lesson plans and support for educators to adopt this program in the classroom, but also after school clubs and teams to compete in local leagues. The competition itself is an exciting full contact sport. These racing drones are surrounded by a protective exoskeleton designed to crash into the other team on purpose. And it's a really exciting team sport. So we all know that drone technology is now an explosive customer market. I think it's $1 billion in the US, but it's completely unstandardized and teachers are really, really struggling to keep up and provide drone education for their students. I'll be the first one to say, as an instructor pilot, that the market is completely inaccessible, especially to educators, and the learning curve is way too steep. We've been told again and again, we don't need any more drone products. What we need is a comprehensive program that is easy to adopt and that we can engage students in exciting team competition. So that's what we've been working hard to do over the last year and a half, and we're excited to launch this program here in Colorado. So our leadership team draws heavily from professional drone racing competitions and also aviation. David Roberts, our president, has led events worldwide. He took the US drone racing team to the World Championships for several years and is represented on the world stage. Bill designs the arcade games that you played at Dave & Buster's. And then for the last 15 years, I've been very invested in aerospace education, professionally in the nonprofit, university, and also military efforts. All right, so what does this look like exactly? This is a drone soccer arena at the Wings Over the Rockies facility in Centennial, Colorado. It's a 10 by 10 by 20 foot netted enclosure. And this is our first academic tournament that took place last month, where 4 high school teams who have been testing the program came to compete. It's we were playing a 3-on-3 tournament, and the game itself is, well, it's a lot of fun. I mean, we spent a year and a half trying to prepare for this, and watching these students play validated all of our assumptions about what this program could be. You know, they were fully engaged the whole time in learning. They were working as a team. They showed up ready to fly after only a few months. And so we know that the accessibility was there. I'm not exaggerating to say that their teachers had tears in their eyes because they've never seen these kids so engaged in engineering like this. While drones are new, competitive robotic programs have actually been growing for the last 30 years. They're a proven market with an 8% annual growth. And our leading robotics companies out today make $100 million in combined revenue for their events alone, not counting product and equipment sales. Together, these two organizations have about 1 million students worldwide participating. But these robotics competitions haven't fundamentally changed since 1992. And we're excited to lead the next generation of robotic sports. I don't know if you all saw, but NASA landed the first flying drone on another planet last week. So let's take this into the 21st century a little bit. Our business model builds on their successes, but also learns from their challenges. And so we're really focused on concentrated geographic adoption. Instead of building a robot all year that maybe you compete in once at the end of the year, we want a local league that resembles traditional sports, that you're playing a Friday night game against the team down the street. and get those rivalries. To do this, we're partnering with regional nonprofits. Those are our champions that raise the funds for the arenas, that help to train local schools and to build the program, almost the administration of the leagues itself. We license our training, and then all of these different nonprofits have a profit sharing agreement with us for affiliate sales on all the products involved in the program. So our core competencies as a company, we've spent the last year working really close with educators to build a program that suits their needs that they can utilize right out of the box. We provide educational leadership through lesson plans and curriculum, and also helping schools access career technical education funds from the federal and state government. So far, no school has had to pay $1 for this program. It's either been sponsored or paid for by those career technical education funds. We provide national league management so that a school student gets involved in their school team and they have a pathway all the way to the World Cup. And then our market leading products, drone technology that we've been developing for the last year and a half. Really exciting, but most importantly, it's affordable, it's durable, and it's easily repairable so that they can continue to use these products over and over. We are the first to market this new drone soccer sport and technology in North America and Europe. It came out of South Korea, but if you go Google on YouTube, they had a couple events in 2019 before COVID hit. So it's been a global pause on this event. But you'll also notice that they're playing with much larger drones. We've been anticipating changes in the market in robotics and in drones, and we're coming out with these smaller world-class World Cup size, the 20 centimeter, which is this year, because this competition fits in any classroom across the country. It's something that we know that they can easily adopt and then grow into the larger sizes at the collegiate level. And like any other athletic event, those academic programs are the foundation. We also have a proprietary scoring system, custom league software, but we are not going to be selling this on the open market to die-hard hobbyists. That was kind of the downfall of drone racing. We are going to be selling this as a comprehensive solution to schools with everything they need, and we're selling them by the 6 or 12. Everything they need to start a team and a whole program. So our program is competitively priced on the robotics market, but our value is that instead of 60 kids and a handful of robots, every student gets their hands on a drone through the program. And the average order for schools in the first 6 months has been around $12,000. The initial investment, which is mostly the educator training and the product itself, and then some individual sales as they move into more recurring annual revenue through the memberships and event dues. Next slide. This year, we really finalized our product proofing and market validation. Our test high schools have been providing feedback on the products, designs, and training. And we've conducted 3 major demonstrations at Space Foundation here in town, but also with Wings Over the Rockies Air and Space Museum. They have an official arena, and we also have an official permanent arena installed at the Mall of America in Minneapolis. We've also been receiving generous grants from AFCEA to grow programs here in District 11. We do have international traction with affiliate leagues forming in Canada, France, Germany, and a U.S. Embassy-backed outreach initiative in Lagos, Nigeria. But the North American premiere of this sport is happening this summer right here in Colorado Springs with the Rocky Mountain State Games. This is like the Olympics of Colorado, a multi-sport event happening in July. And this is the first time an e-sport has been in the lineup. So we are fundraising to support underserved students and teams from the community to get the equipment they need to compete, train and compete this summer. And then at the conclusion of the state games, all that drone equipment will be gifted to local schools and other nonprofits to continue educating students throughout the school year. So I know as a flight instructor, having worked with cadets and being a proud graduate of the space camp back in the 90s, the right spark for a young person, a team, a mentor can give them a whole new direction in life, and it can really shape these future careers and aspirations. I hope you'll join us and help do that this summer. Thank you.
Questions? Yeah, in the back.
How do you score a point?
Yeah, so this is their 20-centimeter drum soccer ball. The game is played 3-on-3 up to 5-on-5. One drone on each team has a flag or special markings and LEDs that distinguishes it. That's the striker. If the striker gets to the opposing team's hoop, that's a point. Every other player on the team is blocking or defending and trying to knock them out of the sky before they can get to the hoop. So the gameplay is fast-paced. It's strategic. Are you blocking for your striker? Or are you defending the goal? And they do take battle damage. So after a 3-minute round, they have just a few minutes to quickly repair their drones and get them airworthy again for the next round. So the students are working hard the whole time.
You have a question?
Yeah.
Like racing.
Oh. Jason? Who else has a question? Okay. Jason.
So, sorry about that. Talked about the business model being packaging of the comprehensive solution. Is the business model more leaning towards content, like a licensing type of offering, or more on the product?
So it is both. So we have the licensing of the educational program for nonprofits so that they can go out and provide that to their community. They would keep 75% of that revenue that they generate through training and services. And then we have an affiliate sales program so that we do all the order fulfillment, products, you know, the whole chain, but they get an affiliate revenue, you know, somewhere around 10%, but that changes at different levels. So the idea is that they can support their program to go out and do this. Wings Over the Rockies is our major partner here in Colorado that's proving the model, and they have summer camps that are launching June 1st.
And as a follow-up, have you explored partnerships with big publishers?
No, we haven't explored. We need to. We're proving the model that this can be a sustainable growth for nonprofits that are used to just losing money on these programs. So we're excited to prove the model this summer, and then we are looking for regional and national partnerships to continue to grow. We have a partnership in the Academy of Model Aeronautics. They have 2,500 members across the country that do RC and drone sports and activities. But we're looking for other educational entities to help make this a more robust product.
In the Zoom question.
Yes.
Why are schools pushing for students to get involved in drone activities?
Yeah, so this is something that's new even for me. You know, I'm not that old, but you know, for me, technical education or trades, that was a shop class. You know, in 2006, there was the Career and Technical Education Perkins Act that created $1.4 billion annually for career skills in high school. So this is not shop class. This is getting a welding license. This is getting an aircraft mechanics license in high school with college, community college credit. So in high school right now, they're getting pilot's licenses, drone licenses, and all these things. We built the program around supporting them to do that. Drones are everywhere, and there's a massive shortfall of trained operators to go out and meet the need of the industry. So schools and everybody else, universities, are trying to catch up with the need, but it's tough. The FAA has, you know, rightfully made regulations that they don't understand, and they're trying to understand, and there's a lot of barriers. So we're trying to be the on-ramp for new pilots, new teachers to begin to build drone and aviation programs.
Are you a 501c3, C6? Like,
We're an LLC that will be converting to a C Corp. We are the provider to nonprofits. So they are facilitating that league in their area. They are reaching out to schools. We are supporting them with all the products and services they need.
so a donation would not be tax deductible to an individual, but a business.
Well, so for example, we have Mr. Theo Gregory here. He's a representative of the Rocky Mountain State Games. They're a 501c3, or the Rocky Mountain Sports Corp. They put on the Rocky Mountain State Games. They are a 501c3. So any donations to support teams in Colorado Springs to compete would go through them to purchase them the equipment and the training and mentorship they need this summer so that they can compete on July 31st.
That's a great thing. We end. I have 60 seconds. There are 3 reasons why I'm here today. Number one is that I'm on the team. I'm a member of the Colorado Springs Sports Corporation. I am now, my new title, I just got this, Director of Foundation and Sponsorship. Yes.
Stay over here.
Oh, you're looking at me. Hey, how you doing? All right. Very good. And what that means is that I spent 23 years in the community working with Health Lamar Foundation as a senior vice president. That gave me an understanding to understand why public schools are engaged in what they are, because I see growing soccer as a product, but the core business is STEM. And anytime you can help young people with post-secondary education opportunities, I think this is one that will really draw a lot of attention from superintendents and from parents and everyone else that would like to see their kids get involved in something. This is the first e-sport in the Rocky Mountain State Games, but it will not be the last. And my pitch is, it's important that you help us find those that are willing to purchase a team. And I was the first. I gave my dollars and I bought the first team for drone soccer, and I gave it to a nonprofit in Southeast El Paso County so they can offer kids an opportunity to see this and do this. If you don't see it, you can't do it. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Hey, Kyle, we have a couple of questions in the chat here. First one is, are you raising funds?
We're in the XI Amplify here. We're looking at raising our first round in October.
Okay.
You know, so we appreciate the mentorship. But yeah, we've been putting in a lot of sweat equity and self-funded for the last year and a half in research and development, product creation, and now we feel like we have a market-ready product. We finished our proofs from factory and they're arriving next week. We're giving those to all of our second round of testers who have all been placing orders. So we're excited to be testing here in Colorado, getting it right. And then we have plenty of organizations waiting to get their hands on it. So we need your help to scale fast enough to meet that need.
And then the second one is, what's your monthly recurring revenue?
Monthly recurring revenue right now.
Or do you have it?
Sales are coming in. I mean, since January, we've had $50,000.
Okay.
Every order is between 6 and 12, and I have 3 orders that just came in yesterday. So right now it's mostly the product because they have to get their hands on it before they can build the program. Once we move into the fall, that's when those league membership dues will begin kicking in as they join a formal league. There's also event registration and other things. So for a school, it's pricey year one, that's paid for by the state or by sponsorships. But those year 2 and 3, the costs are much lower than the robotics. It's more just paying for those student fees that cover the cost of the referees and coaches and mentors, just like any other traditional organization.
You just said something that triggered. So you see the league as being something that is extra educational system, i.e. high school sports are typically played through I don't know, state department of education or
Right, Chester.
and you see yourself as an alternative to that, if you see yourself as integrating
CHSA approved esports for the first time in the last year or 2. They were the only sport that students could play during COVID. So yes, we're hoping to get drone soccer approved as a CHSA sport in the future. This has an application in the engineering classroom, but we know that those students in the engineering class will then grow into the after-school team, and then they'll be competing for the U.S. team soon enough.
I have time for one more question.
Yes, sir.
Hi. Great presentation and concept. I love it. And that drone is good. It's a lot bigger than what I fly. But I do have a question. I was wondering, from your perspective inside the company, what do you see as maybe the top 3 challenges that you face over the next 1 or 2 years?
Yeah, it's carving out a big enough space and a big enough presence that it doesn't get splashed out in this race to the bottom that so many drone companies are engaged in. Obviously, DJI is a giant. Their Tello is what other schools are utilizing in different types of programs. It's just not well suited to what the teachers actually need. So we don't want to be a product company. We are Drone Soccer is the product, and we are providing everything schools need. We're actually seeing those robotics companies I mentioned, First and Vex, their educators are coming to us saying, we need this to engage our students because we're struggling to do it with this program. And they're telling us that the lessons that we're providing is exactly what they need, and these other programs that they've been doing for years still don't have that. So we're really trying to listen and meet that need out there.
Your round of applause for Kyle. Thank you, Kyle.
We have some forms, some takeaways, and a few Drone Soccer patches if any of you want to take that with you. Thank you.
I mean, he should repeat them, but yeah, they probably can. Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have Aaron Nielsen with Deacon Ox. Deacon Ox is
Better.
Yeah, it looks good.
It's too low.
Framed okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Hang on.
Gotta let the expert get settled here.
Okay. Well, hey everybody. My name's Aaron Nielsen, and I'm here to talk about what we call Beaconox. You see it right here in front of you. So right up front, what we've done is we've built an MVP, and we are looking for the right person to join our team and take us from MVP to the market. So 2020 is known for a lot of things, but you might not know it was actually the year of rewriting records in the world of running. Why is that? Well, let's watch.
Is it autoplay?
Oh.
Is it embedded in the slideshow?
Yeah. You can try to hack it out, Zach.
Yeah. This happens literally every time. It's all good.
Oh, maybe. Forgot the dry run.
There we go.
So I don't think you can hear the audio, but what's happening is they're smashing records left and right. We're talking about these lights right here, making all the difference in the industry.
new visual-based learning experience. Embracing such a new and exciting innovative platform has led to many national records as well as world records this season. But is this new technology fair, and does it provide a disproportionate advantage to learners who use it?
Okay, so the question is this new technology fair? Clearly, it's providing an advantage. Well, they settled that question last year. They added it to the rule book so it explicitly allows that technology at the high levels of competition. So clearly, this is where the sport is headed. Furthermore, as this technology becomes available to people as they are training, you can imagine the records only get better, right? Everybody knows that in this sport, the closer you are able to train with the best practices and theoretical models out there, the closer you are to those, the better off you do, right? So really just measuring, adjusting, measuring, adjusting. So why doesn't that happen all the time? Well, if you go to a typical track practice, what you're seeing is one or more coaches with one or more stopwatch around their neck, trying to call off paces, right? Trying to call off splits and keep track of times and do all the math. Well, coaches are hardly able to do what they really want to do, which is worry about running form, running strategy, psychology, all that kind of stuff. So what if there was a way to just easily offload the timing and pacing, allow the coaches to do what they do best? How much better would the teams be then, right? So then you might ask yourself, well, we've seen this wave-like technology. It's getting huge notoriety. People are setting records with it. Why don't we just use that? Well, it's expensive, very expensive. So the whole system, it's in Europe, so it's in euros, but call it roughly $50,000, right? So they knew this when they were making it. And they basically, their business model was to install these at specific locations, and then it would be rental revenue as they rented out slots to these clubs and teams that came to train with them. Well, that's what they're doing. I started thinking about a year ago, why does it have to be an expensive system? And by the way, what makes it so expensive? You know, I'm an engineer, I can't help but ask. Turns out the reason it's expensive is because all of those LEDs out there, you saw how bright those things were, and they were 1 meter apart, so there's 400 of those LEDs going around the track. That is a huge engineering feat to get that installed world-class in the track. Okay, so that's where the cost is coming from. So I started doing a little more research, having more conversations with coaches out there. And I asked them, is it really necessary to have that many LEDs spaced that close together? I mean, after all, isn't that really just for entertainment purposes? That perception of motion? Turns out, yeah, it's actually better to spread those lights apart. So for the purposes of training, you actually want those spaced apart, because when you're training, what you actually need to do is develop muscle memory. Your athletes need to know what it feels like to run at a certain pace. So while they're training, they need that feedback. Better yet, if you have a system where you're able to space those lights apart so that you find that sweet spot where they're getting the feedback, the right amount of feedback and the right amount of concentration, you're golden. Sweet spot. So now, if we're able to do that, the engineering costs go down dramatically because you're talking about way fewer lights, right? So now we have an affordable system. And that brings us to this. So during the COVID lockdown, we built this MVP, and Zach's going to go ahead and start it up for us. It's just going to be blinking in the background. What I've done is, once it boots up, it actually has 3 paces programmed in it, 3 different colors, roughly 6-minute pace. That's going to go on while I'm talking. What are the main advantages of Beaconauts? Well, first of all, it was quite the engineering feat to make sure that it's visible in the sunlight. There are competing products that just can't do this, right? Customizable spacing, which I already hit on, it's very important. We also installed a motion detector in there. We thought it was very important to know when the runner runs by the beacon, That way you can get that feedback, and software can do all kinds of magical things with that. We made the system very easy to set up and run. We've designed it based on industry standards, and we know what we're doing on the technical side. As you can see, it's elevated. You have 360-degree visibility. Software-wise, there's basically unlimited capabilities there in terms of number of splits, number of different faces, number of different animations, blinking, fading, all that kind of stuff. It supports all the dynamic firmware upgrades and all that kind of stuff. We also figured that if this thing were to take off, you want to make sure that you leave the door open to do what we call cloud aware. So imagine these things connecting to the cloud over the network. Now you've got two different or more different Beaconox platforms talking to each other. Now you're opening up a whole world of like real-time competitions, real-time training like a Peloton kind of a thing, all of that aspect. Not to mention the possibility of just the typical online workout sharing and collaboration, and then analytics and analysis of what you've been doing. So who are the people behind Beaconox? Well, maybe most importantly, I took on Alan Versal as an advisor. Some of you may have heard of him. He's the cross-country coach up at the Classical Academy. Legendary in the state. His numbers speak for themselves. He knows what he's talking about. And myself, I'm really a software guy. So I have a background in electrical engineering, but I've got 20 plus years of software development experience. I've been consulting since 2011, and maybe they call me a full stack developer. However, I needed help on the hardware side. Fortunately, my friend John Sondricker was available. This guy knows what he's doing. He's got 25 plus years of lighting product design. I'm getting any more time.
You got 1 minute left. I gave you an extra for the.
Okay. And he's released 25 products plus that are related to the entertainment industry. So you've seen his stuff in Super Bowl halftime shows, Rolling Stones concerts, Cirque du Soleil, that kind of thing. Here's all the market opportunities. We'll skip over that real quick. And here's just the general plan at this point. This summer we'll be busy with doing the beta testing, pilot schools, finding the right product market fit. We think we would probably do an angel round in the fall. Probably another product development cycle, and then we would go to market in winter, just in time for next track season. That's the plan. So again, we're looking for the right team member. Come talk to me if you're interested. Hopefully I've convinced you that the technical barrier of creating this is not as easy as you might think. And we've cleared that. All the hard stuff is done. We've got some market contacts and some affiliates that we already know, and an existing team is qualified and experienced. Let me just say for sure, the technical bases are covered. All right, so that's all I have. Thank you so much for your time. And my email, simpleaaron@luca.com. We just finished our mile.
Open up for questions. Aaron, you got some questions?
Chris.
So you said you kind of dynamically place them and change the spacing. How do they know where they are in relation to each other at different timing?
I'm gonna type out the
Yeah,
questions. I
so
was like,
there's an app that goes with this. It connects wirelessly. Once you set it up, there's manual measuring the inch of the space. And that's really the only part that's manual. They already auto configure themselves every other way.
You said it's a cost-effective solution. How much does this cost?
Proprietary, but way less than any competitors out there. Just to give you an idea, U.S. products are in the range. There's one product for about $23,000 for the outdoor model, another one for about $27,000. And let's just say I can come way under that. The back, sir.
I just have a comment. Sitting back here, I can't see the slides.
Yes.
And I don't think my vision has gone from 2020 to 2040. So trying to take the other ball, we back on.
Okay. Can you see the flashing light?
Oh, yeah.
That's all I care about.
Good recovery.
But you're gonna be doing this again.
Yeah, I
The big
understand.
money sits in the back.
Good old PowerPoint makes it nice and easy. Thank you.
Somebody asked about expected
What's the
margin.
power source?
This one's actually a 24 volt DC power source. We're probably gonna jack it up to 48 to get the distance we need. We want to support thousands and thousands of meters between intervals, so it's got to be relatively high voltage to
I was gonna ask you, you said it was approved by a sanctioning body in Europe. Is that professional, amateur? Is that like something the Olympics are gonna start taking on as well? Like, is it gonna have a feeder system to where everybody's gonna be using it? Is that something they're gonna be competing with, or is it more used for training? Or is it sort of something that, yeah, I was just curious about that.
It's a good question. I am not familiar enough with the different bodies. I know that whoever keeps track of the world records allowed this to happen to set the records.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah.
I was just curious. Thanks.
Sure. You in the middle, sir.
Are there any like athletic metrics that you have like a coach that's advising that you think can be like steadily improved faster by using this?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just. I thought you were.
Okay. I was saying, are there any athletic metrics that can be like improved faster by using this? Like, can I get faster quicker by doing this?
I mean, I assume you can measure your performance based on the races and actual events and things like that, right? You said.
Just a comment on that real quick. I think one of the most important things in engineering anyway is like measuring that you're making progress. It's the same when you're doing track and field. If you can measure your progress and prove that you are improving people's times, then your product will sell. Because if you can show this is what our times were before, this is what our times were after, you want to buy our product. That's an easy sell.
So you guys are saying that this summer, for example, as we're doing the beta testing, basically measure performance-related metrics as well.
It's all about ROI.
Yeah.
Having that big laundry list of metrics that you believe that can contribute to sorry.
Yeah.
I had a second question, actually. I have a million questions for you, but we'll have to talk afterwards. I was curious about the intellectual property outlay right now. What does that look like?
It looks wide open to me in terms of patents and so forth.
Yeah.
Everybody files a patent. Are they defensible? Not a chance. And we can go over that. But I've looked enough at the history. There's no way that this, from what I know, this is at risk of any of that. Way too generic of a solution. Way too much history there. Yes, sir.
Is there a way, or is it possible to make a small version of that you could wear on your head?
Interesting.
I mean,
Anything's possible.
Yeah, okay, that's the question.
Yeah.
Is it fair? I mean, is that cheating? I mean,
So what are you thinking? How would that work?
it paces for you, it has a GPS receiver, knows where you are, and gives you the feedback that you need.
So the feedback would be
The GPS knows where you're on the track, so it knows how fast you're going, knows what paces you're playing. I don't know. I don't quite understand, I don't know all the details about how they do their device, but it just is a thought.
yeah.
And that's $60.
Does that make any sense or not?
Might. Well, in certain situations, yeah, I can see that. In situations where you really want to spread these things out.
Yeah, I could see it for the track and the people could see, but individuals, maybe. Okay. Good question.
Tying into that too, I guess I had a thought as well, like we train exclusively with this. It's a really great way, like say you can kind of benchmark here and you're getting better and better and better. And then you go to track meet where they don't have that, something that's portable, like you're used to, it's like a Peloton something, you're used to having this motivation or this tracking device for your race. And, obviously muscle memory, things like that too, right? If there was some way to, if that wasn't available, and you train been maybe something horrible or something, you know, if you're conditioned to sort of have the feedback from that system for your times and things like that, if there was maybe a mobile device or something that
Yeah.
it would address a situation where that you've trained with it, then the actual competition didn't have that.
Sure. Yeah,
That's just I mean, it's random.
my research kind of indicates that more of the regulations are more about or less. What am I trying to say? It's difficult to allow anything to be on the runner in competition. That's the best way to put it. This.
So this is a new role for me. So help me understand the original product that was costly. You had mentioned that all of those lights are needed. So this is your solution. What is different about that than the other lights? You know, to keep them from just being massive what they're already using. You know, what benefits is your solution to that?
So this is exactly what they were using with the light space further in front, with the addition of the motion detectors, so that you actually get feedback from it. That's the best way I could describe it.
They also have software that allows you to track it the same way, or is that something
Yes.
unique that you need?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Is there a way that you could use the lights to adjust or sort of enforce a certain speed profile over time, so the runner learns to pace themselves a little differently in the front end versus the back end of a race, and actually find some optimization there that would move better?
Yep. We got all the pieces necessary to do that. Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Does the grid application work in a non-mobile concept, so more of a traditional cross-country route, and then if so, then is there a way to translate that into sort of the CrossFit, adult runner who wants to get better and better, but isn't necessarily in a competitive environment? Much bigger market.
There's no limitation for the shape of the course. There's no limitation forcing it to be a closed path. So it could be an open-ended cross-country run or anything like that. And again, we've designed it for long distance. Yes, sir.
My brother is a track athlete. You mentioned something about schools. Is this something that you use outside of that school environment for personal training, or would it be properly utilizing school training?
I don't see why not. No, I don't see any limitations to the market. So who's using it, who's owning it. A lot of business models open up, the rental capabilities, and there's all kinds of stuff.
But you would be targeting schools.
I would do. I would be targeting schools. Yeah, I think we get low enough to where the high schools can afford this.
Yeah. So, go ahead. I was going to say we have about time for one more question from the chat here. Take the no, do
I
one from the
have
chat.
kind of a technical question. When you get rid of some of the lights, is what you have left about the stride of an athlete? So one stride, that sort of thing. I'm just kind of curious about how you do that.
So when you get rid of the lights from the original wave light,
Yeah.
so those are exactly 1 meter. I would get rid of them such that the feedback that I get, the ideal case, the ideal spacing is something like 40 meters
Between lights.
between lights. Yeah.
So in the chat, we have a question. These are more financial, and if you want to punt, you're welcome to. Expected margin on the product.
Yeah.
Exit strategy. Proprietary. Who's going to acquire you, or how do you exit out of this business?
This is why I need somebody. Right? I just build these things, right?
And then another one's around the fundraise. So so if there's anyone here or anyone who wants to come in and help Aaron take this company to market, he's looking for someone to run it. So. All right. Well, thank you, Aaron. Thank you.
Could probably work for track bikes too. Velo? Yeah, the Velodrome?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Velodrome would be sweet. I don't know if they do that stuff in the Velodrome.
Already.
I think they do time lapse, but I don't know.
Yeah, they do. I did all that.
But that's the whole app. Not half of the app, of course.
Or Le Mans for like a 24-hour race. Are you on pace?
Well, the thing is that with this stuff is that you can't do wearables.
Right.
In a lot of it.
Right. With cars, you do wearable. Bikes.
Well, cars you have dashboards. You're like, hey, here's your time.
Yeah. So we can have like a track on Friday. We just try to fuck with this track app. Like, I've never done it before, so I'm gonna try to time myself because like it's gonna be bad. Alright. Like Gran Turismo, that's the ghost lap. So your fastest lap shows the ghost car in front of you. And you're chasing that ghost car.
All right, last up we have Art Nutter, CEO of Patent Books.
Hi, everyone.
You could plug in an OBD sensor.
My name's Art Nutter. I've been in the patent licensing industry for just a little bit north of 30 years. And so
take one step that way.
One step
that way.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm in front of the camera.
No.
Not for the camera.
Not for the camera.
For these guys.
Yeah, but I'm standing in front of the
A little bit
slide.
further back that way then.
This way?
Yeah, there you go.
This way?
There.
Perfect.
Perfect.
I used to be a stage guy. So it's
I'm putting directly on your resume now.
Okay. I'm going to tell you about patent books. Patent books is a way of licensing intellectual property in a way that's never been done quite like this, but it's actually been done in a very significant way. Okay? You put all the patents that might be used in a commercially significant product or service into a single bundle. You pay one price, license them all, and then you distribute the money to each patent owner according to the quality of their patents. And we were talking about intellectual property here earlier. Some patents are better than others. And my experience in this industry has yielded some metrics of this. So go ahead, please. Okay? There have been bundles of patents that have been licensed in the past. In 1865, you couldn't buy a sewing machine because Singer was stuck in court for patent infringement. And finally, this smart guy says, what if we bundle up 900 US patents into a single bundle? We call it the sewing machine combination. They charge $15 per sewing machine. Labor and materials to build a sewing machine was actually 24. So that's actually a pretty high ratio there. But they got out of court and they could sell their sewing machines. They had net cost then of $39, but Singer was selling them for $125. So he's making bank. And so that was a good thing. We do this actually now in our utilities. We are enjoying electricity and running water. And frankly, I bet you not many people in this room know where that juice originates. Okay? It's probably solar panels, wind turbines, coal-fired plant somewhere, but it all comes together. There's a meter on this building, and we pay what's on the meter. It's a commodity level price. Water is the same way. I'm saying we're at a unique point in human history, where we have this thing called the internet. It's the distribution platform. We have these things called machine translation. Anybody, anywhere can see how other people have solved technical problems with a Google Translate kind of thing, and they'll figure out how to do it. Yet there is no meter by which to charge or compensate people for the use of their intellectual property. Everybody goes to court, and it's just a drag for everybody except the lawyers. Okay? We have these models today, which you and I have lived through. I bought music when I was a kid on vinyl. I saw it move to CDs, tapes, and so forth. Then Napster, you remember Napster. Steve Jobs comes out and says, hey, wait a minute, it's important that people get paid. Napster was free tunes, okay? He says, let me put up Apple Music, iTunes is what it was called back then. Now it's Apple Music because Spotify came in and so forth. But it's the same kind of model. You pay one price, you can listen to all the music you want, and somebody else figures out how to pay the musicians. So we're just doing this in patent. Go ahead. This is actually an illustration of years to economic significance, okay? When the United States was first set up, we were hunters and farmers, okay? But by World War I, we were economically significant on a global stage. Why? Because communication technologies were very poor. You wrote a letter, you put it on a boat, sent it to Europe, took a month, back, each direction, okay? And yet we got away with copying all kinds of people's stuff. That was just the way of the world at the time. But the end of World War II, Germany and Japan, smoking heaps, okay? But 50 years later, they were world-class economies. Why? Because they could learn from other people. South Korea did the same thing. Stuff out of there in 1970s was junk. By the year 2000, it's world-class. Taiwan, 25 years. People's Republic of China did it in 15. These other countries, it always sucks to be cool. And you will always try to figure out how the guy down the road is making a buck. And if you can copy him, you will. And it's completely legitimate to do it, but we have to have a compensation mechanism other than courts. Go ahead. Okay? We live in another unique point of a sharing world, okay? Socially, we share our houses, we share our cars, we share lots of personal information online, Airbnb, Uber, and so forth. In the world of copyrights and music, I already talked about that. We already share this and you pay a single price. And then we also have this notion that, oh, if you're using my patent, you gotta pay me. You remember probably the Apple versus Samsung iPhone patent trial, okay? Billions of dollars discussed there. I can talk, and we were involved in that. My company, Teus, was involved in that, okay? The solution here is doing this at scale, and the solution is indeed patents. Go ahead. Okay? This is a big industry. Over $6 trillion. $6 trillion, okay? And of that, the only money that's actually getting into the hands of the inventors is a tiny, tiny sliver. It's in the billions, but it's still just a sliver, okay? 1.5% of all the patents get monetized. The patent book enables all patents to be monetized, okay? And we can build patent books on all technology. This is me. I've been doing this for a while. I have fun. I like to tell stories. It's just a good time. Go ahead. You can tell me about that. But I have an international team, okay? I got boots on the ground in Detroit. I got them in London. I got them in Brussels. I got them in South Korea and in Taiwan, okay? I've got these folks are really, really good. Next slide. There's more people, more smiling faces. But I got guys that are working in Congress. By the way, the last 3 executive administrations in the White House are all over this. The House Judiciary is all over this. Because this becomes one less thing, one less hassle that our president needs to deal with when he's dealing with China. Because now they're paying. And it's easy. And we don't accuse them of stealing. Go ahead. Okay? There are people that have tried to solve this problem. Big money has tried to solve this problem. Intellectual Ventures, if some of you may know, they blew through billions of dollars trying to do this. Every one of these alternative solutions here has done one major flaw, and that is they want the patents. We don't want to buy the patents. Patents are kind of like children. Okay? Somebody has a patent, I'm not going to sell it, it's my patent. It's my baby. My wife and I have 8 kids, so I know what I'm talking about. My kids are all beautiful, just that. Okay? But the thing is, we do not buy the patents. This is just a transaction platform, and it is no different, no more complex than iTunes or Spotify. Go ahead. Okay? The key thing here is knowing how to judge patents, which patents are better than others. This is Teus Works. And Teus Works is indeed our secret sauce that we decided to give away. Just give it away. This has now become a de facto industry standard of figuring out which patents are better than others. And you have to look at it through the lenses of 3 different groups of individuals: lawyers, engineers, and business people. But if you go to teusworks.com on the web, you can see what these metrics are. And another industrial organization has asked if they could adopt these as the international standards. Okay, that's the IEEE. So they're able to do there. And in fact, we were called the Moody's of intellectual property by the Wall Street Journal a few years ago. Anyhow, keep going. Okay, we're going to make some money off this. Profit margins are very comparable
to the music business, in the iTunes, the Apple Music kind of stuff, those guys make 30 cents. They keep 30 cents on every dollar. We keep 40 cents the first year, normalize it to 30 cents on the second year and third year, and then we want to see more money going into the inventors' pockets. So we'll take less, we'll take 20 cents on the dollar, and we get 80 cents back to the inventors, okay? But yet, this is the housekeeping, okay? These are thousands, this is $16 billion that we keep, okay? That's our money, I'm sorry, this is our income, this is revenue, that's our income. This is a $5 billion business here in 2 years. Okay, next slide. Okay, we're running real strong, and this is assuming we only launch 40 patent books per year. This is the same infrastructure, you copy, replace, you just populate it with a different set of patents, and you do more transactions with it. I hire people the patent books we're launching right now are on autonomous cars and electric cars. We call that advanced vehicles. We're doing a patent book in infectious disease because I'm tired of this COVID stuff. Okay? I just am. And we're also doing one in solar energy. We're also doing one for Internet of Things. Okay? Because these people, the industries can grow when people get over themselves and they get over the patent issues. Yes, go ahead. We're raising $10 million. But honestly, I'm in negotiations right now with the CEO of Daimler and the head people at Volkswagen, Audi, and BMW. Because in Germany, you can still get an injunction if somebody accuses you of patent infringement. And Nokia sued Daimler in German court for €1 billion and won twice in the month of September last year. So I get the CEO of Daimler on the phone, video call, and I'm like, hey, dude, billion here, pretty soon you're talking real money. He's like, Art, that is not funny. German. Okay. But the fact is, I said, look, come party with patent books, it's a few $100 million. But that one customer, remember what my margins are. That one customer comes in, and it'll probably be, of his things, it's a couple hundred million dollars. 80 million of it, I'm sorry, $200 million. 80 million of that stays with us. Okay, and so I don't need to raise a lot of money. I'm raising about $2.5 million on a convertible note, and the convertible note is a very attractive note. And for those of you who'd like to come into it, happy to come in. Minimum investment is $100K. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
I just had a question. Are a lot of these patents internationally enforceable? Like as far as
go ahead.
Say like garments and so forth that China might. I know that's a problem with running like used to work for guests and they have to go over it all the time.
Yep.
Is enforcement?
Well, here the enforcement is actually not it. You got to understand a patent is only good in the country in which it's issued. So a U.S. patent is only good in the United States. If a guy doesn't have the same invention patented in China, he doesn't have any enforceable rights in China, okay? But I will say that the enforcement process everywhere is the same. You go call your friendly neighborhood lawyer and you go to court, okay? People used to, and I'm talking about 20, 30 years ago, you could show up with a claim chart that says, here's exactly how you use my patent. Tejas has done that, and Tejas has done that for 93 of the top 100 U.S. patent. And we have great relationships with all those guys. And I'm leveraging and building on those relationships to address it. Because they do deals with their big guys, with their big competitors. So there's an IBM versus an Intel. There's a Qualcomm and Microsoft dialogue. There's an Apple versus Microsoft dialogue. Stuff like that. And we would get involved in those kind of things. But eventually IBM licensed all the big guys. And then they're like, what about the little guys? How do we address them? They have to do a different model. This is the different model. And so we will have patent books in the same technology vertical. For instance, advanced vehicles. There's a U.S. version, different mix of patents, different levels, different pricing, and then there's a Chinese version, then there's a Japanese version, then there's a...
It offers the client.
Yep. And the nice thing is about when a company decides to do something with their intellectual property, they will do it by technology. So I'm talking to Caterpillar. Caterpillar's done autonomous vehicles for 40 years, and everybody knows it. But
Caterpillar is not known as a licensing company per se. I know the top guys over there, but they said, okay, how are we going to license this? And they have charted our product roadmap there, like most companies have, and they say their future is all in autonomy. They're patting themselves on the back. Hey, we got 800 patents. Dude, and they're patting themselves on the back. Yeah, we've spent $600 million in R&D the last few years. And then they look at the rest of the world and they say, oh, the rest of the world spent $35 billion every year in, autonomous development. And oh, there are actually 140,000 patents in there. And we only have 800? All of a sudden, it doesn't look so cool anymore, okay? And they're thinking, I gotta do deals with these other people, and we can either do it lawyers, guns, and money, or patent stuff. You bet. Yes, sir.
How do you decide what patent you're going to, think I understand what you're talking about.
Okay.
This is a bundling.
It is a bundling, yes.
How do you decide what patents go into a particular bundle and how broad that bundle has to be in terms of the target market?
We err on the side of inclusion versus exclusion. In other words, if a guy could come to me and say, my patent could be used in an advanced vehicle, either an electric car or a self-driving car, in the following way. I'll listen to him. If it sounds like it makes sense, put your patent in.
So the patent holder seeks you out, not the other way around.
Well, I can do lots of different keyword searches in the U.S. patent database, and I'll get that hunting list. Like I said, right now it's 143,000 patents, okay? And what I'm doing is I'm sending letters out to these people and say, come party with patent books. And as the word gets out, I would expect that there's some people I have reached out to, and they'll probably come and say, oh, what about me? Dude, if you're going to make an argument for it, that's great. But as we did, so we talk about the different technology vertical, take infectious disease. Pfizer and Abbott Labs are not going to have patents, most likely, that are going to pertain to an advanced vehicle, and vice versa, okay? But I'll have a different patent book for them, addressing their technology verticals. And the nice thing is, they're all big numbers. Yes, sir?
Is there a way to exclude some patents that I know that I'm not going to infringe on that are, like there's a group of patents, but I just know that I need protections in these 5, so I'm going to license those 5, but I don't want to do
We have put that in as an option, but have you ever been to a all-you-can-eat buffet? If you go into an all-you-can-eat buffet, you pay their asking price $15, $20, okay? But if you go into that same buffet and say, I only want this and this and this and this, they will price it for you, but you will end up paying a whole lot more money ordering it a la carte than ordering a buffet, okay? And that's where your pricing is. Okay, yes, sir?
Yeah, so how do you posture yourself against IP3 sorts of approaches where it's a catch and release, Titans are buying large batches of patents, which I don't think they score really well on your scoring system from what I've seen, the values aren't that great. But that's an approach that some of the larger companies are taking in terms of collectively pooling their money to buy some patents outright, take licenses to them, and
yeah, that's the RPX model is that way. Yeah. Again, we're not buying patents. We're not buying patents.
And so the owner has to keep up the maintenance fee, so that's
exactly. Absolutely, yeah. And see, that is the owner's obligation. If he wants to earn money from his patent, patent's got to be valid. If he lets it expire, well, guess what? You're toast.
Do you scrutinize the file wrapper much to make sure they haven't picked up somewhere?
No, that's not my problem. That's the patent owner's problem. I don't want to take on any more problems.
It would fan out.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk. We know some of the same people.
I'm sure we do. Yeah. Yes?
Do you see this being something that someone can use when they're thinking about building a product, say a startup, as insurance before they build a product, and maybe 5 years down the line can run into trouble?
Absolutely. And in fact, we have a startup pricing model. So if you are going to build something in advanced vehicles, but you have no revenue yet, we have a pricing model for you where you can just come in and say, I am a subscriber to the patent book. Then when you show your venture guys, okay, that you're pitching to, You can say, basically, I bought an insurance policy, or I will buy with some of your money, an insurance policy, so that when we do launch, our first call is not from somebody who's suing us for patent infringement. In fact, I was on the stage with Dean King, who was the guy that did the Segway scooter, okay? And there was another buddy of mine up there. He was launching a new product, okay? And this is in the Licensing Executive Society. This was a meeting in Boston years ago. And he launched his new product, came out at like noon. He starts, he says, wait, we're going to see how long it takes until the first patent infringement lawsuit is less than an hour. Less than an hour. We want to make that practice die. But I think that's sad.
There's some questions here.
Any others? Questions?
Yeah, we have a couple in the chat.
Sure.
How do you attract quality inventions inventors?
Well, the revenue distribution model, okay? The top 1% of all the patents, and this is by the score of Tejas Works, which is lawyers, engineers, and business people, okay? That top 1% receives 60% of the money that we distribute. That is millions of dollars every quarter, okay? Every quarter distribution. The second tier is 9% of the patents. Those uniformly share 30% of the income, which distributes hundreds of thousands of dollars every quarter. And then the remaining 90% of the patents are all in tier 3. There's no criteria except it's got to fit in the technology vertical somewhere. And those folks will earn enough to cover their maintenance fees on the patents. Because if you ever got a patent, you get the pleasure of paying about 20 grand to get the patent. And then you get to keep paying to keep it active on these so-called maintenance fees that came in as a result of the American Invents Act in 2011. It used to be that way, but now we are in harmony with the rest of the world. I could wax poetic on that, I won't, but I will tell you, I think that was a bad law, but it is the law.
It's
okay?
not worth it.
Yeah.
One more question.
Sure.
Is this product currently live?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I'm taking, and in fact, we have customers already, patents in the advanced vehicle patent book, and like I said, I'm in active negotiations with those 3 big German car companies, because that's where the pain is right now. You can still get an injunction against selling infringing product in Germany. You used to be able to do that in the United States before the American Invents Act, but you can't. It's very difficult to do that now. Okay. They talk about this too big to fail myth, okay? When this little guy sued eBay for infringing his patent. And then this myth of eBay was too big to fail. This was an Obama administration kind of thing. And so they said you can't get an injunction, you cannot stop eBay from its activities. But you can in Germany. But you can't imagine not buying a Mercedes-Benz in Germany or Volkswagen in Germany, okay? So the big companies, the Germans over there, they freak out and they pay off €1 billion to this guy or to that guy and so forth. And like I said, this is where I was kind of poking fun at the diamond guy. He didn't appreciate it, so I got a better solution for him. Okay, anything else?
Probably have time for one more in the audience.
Yes.
So is this considered more of a product where an inventor would go to the website and just subscribe and go?
Exactly right.
Where it's not engaging a group of people with search?
Correct. This is a website, okay? It's just like if I want to buy a new, in the old days, I used to go down to independent records and buy some vinyl, okay? If I want to hear a new artist or something like that. But today, if I want to find a new artist, I already got a subscription to Apple Music and to Spotify. So I just search on that for whatever the band's name is, down to listen to their tunes, because I've already paid my subscription fee. In the context of a patent book, if somebody subscribes, and here's the cool thing, you know, all of this race to develop a self-driving car or an electric car, or ideally a self-driving electric car, okay? Nobody has all these ideas and inventions in-house. And if you have to try to get them from each other, and the other people, the other smart people all over the world, and you've got to negotiate bilateral licenses with them all, none of us live that, okay? This is the more efficient way of doing it. Subscribe to the patent book, you can use anything out there, and this is the platform by which people who put the patents in get paid.
Thank you, Art.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
so that will wrap it up for this pitch night. Quick note, reminder, if you want to get involved and you haven't already, go to our Slack workspace, sign up on this website link, sign up to pitch, help us run events, and tell your friends. If you want more people to get out and do this. And that is it. So thank you everybody for coming. Please feel free to stay, have some more beer, have some more pizza, and mingle.